Hey guys, it's Carolyn. I tried to film this video yesterday, and for some reason, my camera wouldn't take, so I'm filming it again, and this is the first part of my favorite books video set, and, the ones I wanted to show you guys today are my favorite book series, and I have quite a few of them, and they're just book series that I've come to love over the years, and they're not really in any particular order. So let's get started. Okay, first is the Griffin and Sabine series by Nick Bantock. I love this author. He is a genius. He wrote and illustrated all of these books. Here, I'll give you guys a sample. Like, that's one of the fronts of the cards, and that's one of the postcards, and he illustrates and designs all of these and writes the story, and it's just so amazing to me that he's that talented. And the story itself is about a man named Griffin who is an artist, and he lives in London, and one day he receives a letter from a woman named Sabine, and she tells him that she dreams about his artwork. Like, she'll have dreams where she sees him drawing or painting, and she's had these dreams since she was little, and she didn't know who was doing any of these until one day she sees a postcard of his with his name and address on it, or the name of his art company on there. And so she writes him a letter, and she says, "I know this sounds really weird, but I've been having dreams about your artwork since I was like 12. And so that kind of starts their very strange correspondence, and all of the books are written in letters and postcards, as I showed you guys. And that's one of my favorite writing styles, too, is when it's in letters. I love that style. I don't know why. Same with diary entries. And so basically they just start writing letters to each other, and they end up forming a really strong bond and falling in love, actually, over the series of these 6 books. And they also try to solve the mystery of why Sabine can see him doing these drawings. Like, they just try to figure out if they knew each other when they were a lot younger and just didn't know, and so it's a really great series. I highly recommend it, especially for art lovers. Okay, next we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I read this in my YA Lit class and loved it so much that I had to go out, and I had to order the second and the third immediately after we finished this in my class, and so I read those last summer and just loved them. It's a really good series. I like the first one the best, I think, because it introduces everyone, and it's the first Hunger Games, so I feel like it's one of the most intense ones. And I really love Katniss's character. I love how strong she is emotionally, and it's a really good series. Okay, next up we have the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. I started reading these in high school because this woman I know from Borders, she knows how much I love history, so she recommended these to me. And they are historical romance, and granted, the history part, they get some of the stuff wrong. I've learned that since taking a class in college about this time period, but it's a really good read. It's got time travel, and it's set in Scotland during the Jacobite Rebellion, and, you know, it's just good romance. And basically this woman, at the end of World War II, she accidentally finds a time portal back to just before the start of the Jacobite Rebellion in the 18th century. Scotland, and she meets this man who ends up saving her life, and they get married and fall in love, and it's basically their love story kind of defying time, I guess, because she ends up having to go back to the 20th century. And so it's a really good love story. And it's a book, it's a whole series. I think there's 7 books now, which I've only read up to the 4th one, so I need to reread those so I can continue on with the series. Next up, we have Harry Potter. I love the Harry Potter series. I started reading Harry Potter when I was 11, right when the first movie came out, and I love it. I love that I've kind of grown up with Harry as I've been reading these, and a lot of people have, actually. And I know a lot of people love this series too, but I love it so much. This actually contains the 3rd book, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and I've read it so many times that that's why it's in this case, because the spine is falling apart and the pages were about to fall out, so I had to protect it somehow. I would just get a new copy, but my grandparents gave me this for Christmas when I was in 3rd grade, and it has a inscription by them, so I really didn't want to get rid of that for sentimental reasons. And I showed you guys Deathly Hallows because it is my 2nd favorite of the books. So the 3rd one and the 7th one are my 2 favorites. Okay, next we have, let's see, Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I really like this series. I started reading it in high school before all the hype came with the movies and everything, and I really love it, mostly for the love story. Like, a lot of other people really like it because of the whole vampires and werewolves thing, but to me that's just an extra. Like, I really just love the love story, and I really enjoy a lot of the secondary characters. I think my 2 favorites are Alice and Emmett Cullen, because Alice is so quirky and wonderful, and, so, I don't know, she's just adorable. And, Emmett, I love Emmett because he seems like the only Cullen who is 100% happy with his situation. He's never, like, I think there's only one time in the book where you see him and he's actually, like, worried and genuinely upset. But the rest of the time, you know, he's funny and he's like, hey, I'm a vampire, that's cool, I'm gonna be the most kick-ass vampire anybody's ever seen, and I'm gonna love my life. And I just think that's really cool. I think he has the best attitude. So yeah, I really like these. Okay, and this is Blue Bloods by Melissa de la Cruz. I actually think that this is a better vampire series than Twilight, because I think the writing is better, and I also think, like, I like a lot of the characters better in Twilight, but I really like the storyline and what she does with the vampires better in this, because Melissa de la Cruz's interpretation of the vampires is that they were actually angels that fell from heaven with Lucifer, and so it's really strange, but being a vampire and going through life through reincarnation was actually their punishment for following Lucifer down from heaven. And so what happens with these is that they're always born as, like, a famous person. Like, I think a couple of them were famous in Rome, and then one of the couples actually becomes Miles Standish and his wife. And so while these take place in present day, they are all reincarnations of lives that they've had before, if that makes any sense. And another cool thing about it is that if 2 of the angels were bonded when they were in heaven, then they're still bonded in their life. Like, they are an eternal couple, basically. So whatever people they are throughout history, they're always together. They're always a couple. And I just think that's really cool. And in the modern world, this takes place in New York, and they are a very elite part of society, and the kids don't find out. They all go to this elite private school, and they don't find out that they are vampires until they're 16, and that's when they get their powers, and that's when their parents tell them who and what they are. And familiar is basically the person who the vampire uses to drink blood. And if you have a human familiar, that way they don't have to go and kill a whole bunch of people to eat, I guess. So it's just a really creative book series and really well written. So I highly recommend this. Okay, last but certainly not least, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Is the Principles of Love series by Emily Franklin. I know I said I wasn't going to rank these series, but this is my favorite book series ever. Because I have never connected with a character so well. Love Bukowski is the main character, and she goes to a private school, I think in New England, and her dad is the headmaster, and that's why she ends up going to this private school, is because he just gets that job. And so the whole book series is her kind of getting used to private school life and kind of dealing with people who are a little stompier than she is, and trying to make friends and having love interests, and basically it kind of, the whole series is basically her discovering who she is as a person. And it's just such a good book series because she is so fun. She's the kind of person who you wish that she had been your best friend in high school. And it has so many pop culture references, and that's what I love most about it, is it has so many literature and music and movie references. Like, a lot of the time, she'll say, in the movie version of my life, here's how this would happen. So, you know, it's something we can all relate to, and it's such a good book series. I highly recommend it. It's awesome. And I was really sad. This was one of the book series that I was incredibly sad when it stopped. And this was also one of the book series where I kind of also grew up with her. I started reading the books in 10th grade, and then when I was a senior, that's when the last book came out, and it ends with Love being a senior in high school. So that was kind of nice that it was kind of basically about a girl who was the same age that I was when I was reading these books. So, very good book series. Also, that's the end of this section of books, but I actually, I filmed all the other parts of my book series videos, but one that I forgot to mention was Perks of Being a Wallflower, so I'm going to mention that here since I had to refilm this. I don't have a physical copy of that book with me because I lent it to a friend who is currently in Tennessee. But that is one of my favorite books of all time, and one of my favorite books of 2012 because that's when I read it, was last summer. And it is an amazing book. I don't know how else to describe it other than to say that everyone needs to read this book because it is so good. It's Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, and it's amazing. It's one of those books where you just think about it long after you stop reading it. It's very good. And I just wanted to mention that since I forgot to mention it in one of my later videos. So, yeah. Okay, well, that's the end of part 1, and I've already filmed the rest of the parts, so I'll have all of these up as soon as possible. Okay, thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and comment.